This is Wakiya, the desert shaman. In the shaman's den here in southern Nevada. I just returned from a pilgrimage to the San Francisco Peaks and the town of Flagstaff, Arizona. I always like to do this pilgrimage at least once every 2-3 years if I can. It's always an amazing journey for me. Now, the San Francisco Peaks, the Hopi say, are one of the 4 mountains that hold up the world. And the San Francisco Peaks are home of the Katsina or the Kachina, the Hopi benevolent spirits or spirit forces, or you may also call them the Star Nation or Star Brothers. Now, every time I go to Flagstaff and every time I go to the San Francisco Peaks, I have an unusual experience. In fact, I have several unusual experiences. And I may meet several people, and people may appear to me out of the blue and have a message or an energy for me. Or certain events might happen to facilitate a growth or an invocation of further knowledge. So it was very interesting this time when I was there. There was incredible snowfall, and this snowfall was at least 5 to 6 feet. Snow piled everywhere. Now, I lived in this area at one time, and I found this rather extreme, as do people that currently live there. I mean, you might get 3-foot drifts occasionally, but 5 to 6 feet snow pile, it's almost like the town was buried. Now, another interesting thing about the snow that came this time, or has been for the last couple of years, is that it has a different characteristic. So in the past, the snow has been more like the typical snowflake, fluffy little thing, almost looks like one of those kaleidoscope, when you look through a kaleidoscope and you see different formations. Well, this time the snow is a little bit different. Has been a little bit different. It's been extreme, and instead of having that form, the form has been more like tiny little glass shards. Not that they're sharp, but that kind of formation. Now, if you know anything about water, it's very important, the molecular structure of water. Water is life. Mini wachoni, water is life, water is healing. But are they messing with the atmosphere and the atmospheric conditions, and are they messing with the precipitation? And when I say they, I will just say the powers to be, the overlords of this realm or reality that we live in right now. Now, it's always real important for me to take note of these kind of things and take note of that area in general. That area, the whole area, I'm saying from the Four Corners all the way through probably the Grand Canyon and the southern tip of Nevada, where I live, was all Hopi ground, Hopi territory at one time, until it was slowly taken away from them. But in the center of all this is all kinds of cosmic portals, all right? And you have several. It's not just like people think in Sedona, okay? Now, I'm an authority on Arizona because I was raised in Arizona. So I am very familiar with the land. I have traveled the land from, Tucson down by the stronghold where Geronimo resided, in Cochise and the Apache, all the way up to Flagstaff, which is in the northern part of Arizona, and Prescott in that area. But Flagstaff is the little town right beneath the San Francisco Peaks. And then to the east of that, you have Winslow, and just beyond Winslow, or parallel with Winslow, is the Monument Valley, which you've seen in many movies, the Great Monument Valley. And then a little further east is Meteor Crater, and you have the Painted Desert, and you also have the Petrified Forest. All right, all of these are kind of like wonders of the world. The Grand Canyon is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So this whole area, if you traverse in that area, you will experience all kinds of energies, okay? And these energies are ancient energies from the Hopi and the Anasazi and the Paiute and the Ute, and the list goes on. You also have Canyon de Chelly, and you also have Chaco Canyon in these same areas, okay? That's a little bit more towards New Mexico. So this is why I like to make a pilgrimage to the place that I was raised. And being raised in this place, I was exposed to all kinds of energies, all kinds of tribal customs and rituals and energies. The drums, the flute, these kind of things, okay? And then just constantly being in a state of download from all kinds of things around there. Now, I consider that I was destined for this, or this happened to me because of my probably connection to the Pleiades and the Star Brothers, all right? I've told you this before, and so I'm talking about star ancestors today in general. I'm talking about the ancient infusion of DNA into the human race as well. And so some of us have a certain DNA and others have another kind of DNA infusion, and that would indicate why some of us might be separated or not get along or be at odds, because there's something going on a very, very high level, a separation of sorts. Now, we are in emergence, okay? We are in emergence as I speak, have been for a while. And what is emergence? Well, I wrote a book called Emergence, and it's a novel about twin souls, the yin and yang, the Native American energy. And in that novel, I covered a lot of things. It's a shaman's handbook, described as a fictional story, okay? or it can be described as a fictional story. Anyway, I digress. Emergence is on us now, all right? So, what comes into play here with this emergence that's happening right now? Well, the ancient star brothers are coming into play right now. Now, when I went to Flagstaff, this is a reveal. This whole video is going to be a reveal, a disclosure of sorts. When I went to Flagstaff to visit the Kachinas, not only was there tons of snow piled everywhere, but there were also activities that I have not seen before in the sky. And when I'm not talking about craft from other worlds, I'm talking about craft from this world, black helicopters, or a black helicopter flying around the San Francisco peaks in the town of Flagstaff. Now, this is unusual because I've never seen anything like that before. And my gut feeling is that something is going on there and the mountain is being watched. Now, that would make perfect sense because of the times that we're living in right now and going through emergence. The Kachina energy, or the Kachinas, are very, very powerful. They are the Star Brothers, and they are benevolent Star Brothers. We could talk about malevolent Star Brothers. We can talk about, but that's a subject that is very intensive and very extensive, all right? Might be too much for one video here, but let's talk about the benevolent, the watchers, the keepers of the planet, the ones that have a concern for humankind, are around that mountain and in that area, and that is a star seed, a star transmission, an area that is permeated with the spirits and the entities and the dimensional beings, okay? And they could, arrive at any time and leave at any time. And if there's any doubt about the power of the Kachina, ask the Hopi people. Ask them how their corn grows when there's no rain, all right? Ask them where the rain comes from. You cannot grow crops on the mesas in Holt Villa or any of those areas without help from Great Spirit and without help from the Kachinas. The Kachinas bring the rain. The Kachinas, it is above and below heaven and earth. Heaven and earth nourish the flower. Heaven and earth nourish the flower. This goes way beyond the normal comprehension of most folks, all right? Now, this Kachina power, or this spiritual, the Star Brothers, our ancestors, my beloved ones, know exactly what's going on this planet, know the carnage and the abuse, okay, of Mother Earth, Unsi Maka, Vajra in Hindu. They know the carnage that has been inflicted upon and the violence that has been perpetrated upon not only the planet Earth, Earth Mother, but also on the inhabitants of the planet Earth, humankind, the anthropos. They know exactly what's going on here. And make no mistake about it, you can have complete faith in the fact, and I get this from the download, I got this recently, that there is nothing to worry about as far as them not being able to see what's going on here. And you can also make no mistake about the fact that there has been emergences in the past. There have been other worlds. And we are now currently moving from world to world. Some people say the fourth to the fifth. Some people say the fifth to the sixth. Depends on what information has been disseminated to you. We are now moving, and there is a separation going on. Now, in the Hopi prophecy, and in the stories of the Hopi, and I'm dealing with the Hopi right now because this is the area, this is the area that I was in. In past emergences, there were always some people that didn't make it, or that were looked at as people that wanted to not move on, or people that wanted to stay behind, or if to the extreme, it could be the ones leaving were made sure, that those certain people were left behind, in the other world. Now, when I say left behind, I don't want any association with rapture or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. Is completely off base if you think that is what it means. That is not what it means. What it means is that there's a separation from one world to the other world, and the other world that is, let's say, a reborn world, or let's say a world of higher consciousness. Because see, there's evolution involved here. There's evolution. All right. So when you have a new world that is being created, and again, that word new world, let me touch on that for a minute. That word has been co-opted for centuries for other nefarious purposes, just like they co-opt other words. And when I say they, I'm talking about the rulers, the evil rulers of this realm that we're in, and the ones that are controlling them. They co-opt words to make them be what they want them to be, just like Hitler co-opted the swastika, which is a Native American peace symbol. This has been done for a long, long time, So again, let's not get hung up on words. So again, back to the story of emergence and this evolutionary process going from one world to the other world. A separation and a rebirth, and a renewal. This is what's happening, and this is, if you don't think that the Star Brothers and the ancestral Star Nation hasn't been around for a long time. Think again. Think again. It goes way, way, way back, all right? What I'm talking about here is the North American, the Turtle Island, the indigenous people here, because that's where I get my downloads. That's what I am connected to. That is my shamanism. My wisdom keeping is all mostly, for the most part, derived from where I was raised in the energy and the vibration. Now, does that mean that I don't tap into other cultures like the Hindu culture and the Eastern culture and other spiritual beliefs like in Tibet or in, let's say, the Middle East, Eastern? It's all tribal. Matter of fact, if you really want to get down to it, there was an event where the Tibetan monks came over and met with the Hopi elders, and they had so many things in common, it was mind-blowing. They had a word for, in one tribe or one race that meant moon, and in the other, the same word meant sun. Think about that for a minute. And they had many, many prophecies and many ancient stories that they had in common, just unbelievable, phenomenal things, okay? So it doesn't matter whether the race is yellow or red or black or white, okay? It's all one. And I said this in a video, maybe a couple of videos ago. I said this, I presented, a case for tribal unity. And of course, this is a much more spiritually inclined video, because of that one I was talking about warfare and that type of thing, and the tribes and how they viewed warfare as opposed to how the American culture or the West would view it, that type of thing. But to get back to the point here, the migration that happened from that part of Arizona, the mesas, which was located just to the to the east of Flagstaff in the San Francisco Peaks, in between that and Monument Valley are merged with, that's where the initial migration of the Anasazi or the Pueblo people, or the what you would call the Hopi, all originated from that area. And they had a symbol. Let's get back to the swastika for a minute. They had a symbol that was the swastika, and what that symbol meant was it was a migratory symbol. And then they had another one with a circle that came slowly out, concentric rings. That was also a migratory one. And there's also the pictographs on the wall in all these different areas. So this is the center of the North American and Turtle Island migration, and the let's say the birth of the indigenous nations. The birth of the indigenous nations. So what I'm here to tell you is that don't think for a minute, that we're not being watched, and that somehow this planet is going to get destroyed totally it's not going to happen, because the Kachinas and the Star Nation, there's a whole multitude of people that love this planet. Or you can call them entities, or you can call them energies. And it's up to you to tune into these energies, to be a let's say, light warrior, or warrior of light. To be a warrior of light, to take a side. And is it a battle? Well, it is a battle of sorts. It is a battle, and you must raise your frequency to be in that level, okay? And if you want to be one of those that travels with the consciousness of the planet, which has many names from many traditions: Sophia, Gaia, Unsimaka, Vajra. That consciousness is going to make a correction, but corrections have been made before. And this is basically an evolutionary process for the planet and the watchers of the planet. And it's up to us as wisdom keepers to be truthful, okay, because that's part of the tradition. And I've always been truthful. I've always tried to disseminate this knowledge in bits and pieces so that you would be able to put two and two together. And I've done many things about raising your consciousness, meditation, activation of the kundalini, or the serpent energy. The serpent goes way back, and the serpent plays a big part in Hopi tradition, because you have the snake clan and you have the snake dancers, all right? Knowledge is what is indicated here. And the kundalini energy, or the serpent energy, or the coiled energy, and the energy centers in the body, the chakras, the crown chakra being one of the most important, because the Hopi say that that is how you communicate with the Creator. And if you feel that buzzing like I do continually right now, and not only do I feel that buzzing, and when I say buzzing, I mean vibrating, you know, or when you feel certain things emanating from that and maybe overlaying that and standing next to you or within you at times, then you're getting a visitation. And I get visitations probably at least 4 hours a day. If it isn't continual, it's the intensity, all right? It's the intensity of the visitation. It could ascend and descend, ascend and descend, ascend and descend, which is typical of a visitation and typical of a change of frequency of consciousness. So I'm feeling right now in this present day and age that this is what's happening. We are going through an emergence. And we are experiencing a paradigm shift. Paradigm shift. And a paradigm shift means a paradigm shift. Things are going to shift radically. They've been shifting radically. magnetic north, the North Pole is an indication of how radically things have been shifting. That has been moving for the last decade. The last decade, okay? Magnetic north is moved radically. Now, is this all something that is to be considered fearful? Well, no, because it just all depends on where your heart is, okay? Where your heart is in your crown chakra. And are you a warrior for the light and the peace? We're talking peace on this earth. We're talking balance, all right? We're talking love and compassion. What you are seeing right now is exactly why we're going through an emergence. It's almost like a birthing process. It's almost like a baby coming out of the womb, all right? So there will be an intensity in the paradigm shift, and those that are attuned to the expectation of this intensity will be better off for it. Will be better off for it. And rely, this is a time when you have to rely on your connection with the Star Nation, okay? Now, let's not get into, well, what about the other guys? What about the malevolent ones? What about this? What about that? Well, in short, they do not have mankind's best interests, and that is a whole nother thing that is more associated with the government than you could ever realize. The government has been and is in leagues with other entities, other star brothers, but they are not the star brothers that care about humanity. They have their own agenda. They have their own agenda, but their agenda is not going to work. It's not going to succeed because they don't have the supreme light. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. They're more dark than light, and what the planet needs right now and what the planet consciousness is telling me is light. So most of these entities are, let's say, the aliens, or you can call them grays, or you can call them whatever you want to call them, are the Dracos, whatever. You can be sure, okay, that this is associated with the government. It's on a much lower frequency. It's on a lower level. And that's how it operates. It operates on a level of duplication and that type of thing, all right? And trickery and illusion and propaganda. That's where all that is coming from. That's where all that is coming from. So you take a side, okay? What side are you falling down on? Are you on the fence? Because if you're not telling the truth, and if you're not being a pro-activist for the benevolent Star Brothers and the Kachinas and the keepers, the ones that look at us as we are supposed to be keepers of the planet, then you know, if you're in that mindset, okay, that you are a keeper of the planet, and how do you demonstrate it? Well, you demonstrate it exactly by doing what I am doing. You tell the truth. You spread the word. You expose, you reveal, you disclose. And let me say right now that my DNA associated with these particular benevolent beings is being activated into the effect, and yours will be too, that I am one of those beings. It's that simple, because the DNA is there. Now, are there roots in the planet? Are there still roots down into Mother Earth? And that consciousness will, of course, because the original species of this planet, the original man and woman, had an infusion of DNA infusion, okay? Like I said at the beginning of this video. So identify with it and embrace it, okay? And see, in a sense, whatever you embrace is your ancestral heritage or your ancestral star seed. It's your ancestral star seed. That's what you want to embrace. There's no sitting on the fence. There's no sitting on the fence at this time. You can't sit on the fence. Sitting on the fence means you haven't identified with your ancestral DNA and the ancestral star brother nations of the stars. You don't need to know any more than this right now. This is all you need to know. And so this will give you the tools. This will give you the tools for something, to use these tools, these words, these thoughts, these ideas. It'll give you something to work with. Give you something to work with here. So anyway, I think that probably that will end this video. And this was a much needed video. This is a reveal. This is a disclosure. Don't pay any attention to what's going on with these other disclosures. Let me touch on this a minute, all right? As a wisdom keeper and as a shaman, and one who is tuned in, I'm telling you right now to not get too involved with what you are seeing as far as on the mainstream media. Certain certain channels on the mainstream media, and you know what they are. I don't even want to mention them in this video because it's too sacred. And certain videos and certain people, okay, have been proclaiming, okay, that, they talk about exopolitics, which is outside the realm of politics and is into the star realm. And they talk about reveals, and they talk about disclosures, and they present disclosures from certain government people that are in the Pentagon. And there's constant disclosures, supposedly, but these are not real disclosures. These are phony disclosures. These are not real, and the reason I'm saying they are not real is because they have an agenda. They have an agenda. And that agenda is to fake out the public and make them think that the Star Brothers are extremely malevolent. extremely malevolent. I know I'm carrying this video on longer, but when I get a download, I keep talking. They want to make out like that the alien or the off-planet or the ET is extremely malevolent, and they've portrayed this for years in movies, for the most part. Some haven't, okay, but again, we have the yin and yang, the duality here. But for the most part, they have portrayed the alien as something to fear. And why would people fear it? Well, they fear for their lives, they fear for the planet. But they would also fear for their religious beliefs, which would be a huge threat to certain religious customs and beliefs in coming from a biblical nature or a Christian nature or an Islamic nature or a Jewish nature or whatever nature, a Buddhist nature. So let's just take all this into account. Let's take all this into account. They could make a pretend alien invasion or some type of off-world terror. Okay, and what do they work with? Terrorists. So if the terrorists don't work and then they go on to something else, well, then they're going to go to the extreme, just like they did with the medical emergency we just went through. They will go to the extreme, and they will present something in the sky with their advanced technology, or just propaganda would do most of it, to make people fear again. This is not the truth. This is not the truth. The truth is there's nothing to fear, and the truth is you attract, like attracts like. Like attracts like. So what do you like? What do you like? Do you like peace on earth? Do you like benevolent rulers and beings and watchers and caretakers? Well, then, if that's what you like, then you're going to attract that. That's why it's so important. It's so important to tune into that frequency from the heart center. There's a toroidal field there, the chakra center. It's time for you to take a side, and it's time for you to tune in to that side, all right? And if you so choose, I would hope that you would choose a peaceful planet, a beautiful planet, a productive planet, a advanced planet that cares about humankind. You know, technology doesn't have to be bad if it's used in the correct manner, like, let's say, free energy. Free energy. What would happen if all of a sudden we had free energy? Well, the whole composition of the planet would change, because it wouldn't be based on petrodollars and oil and all the things that the nations are pursuing right now and actually using to enslave mankind. That's a big one. That's a big one. Enslaving mankind through petrodollars and the oil from the earth and using it as energy. they are hurting Mother Earth when they do this, and they don't need to do this because energy comes from the atmosphere, and there is anti-gravitational vehicles that use free energy, and there is inventions. There are inventions and patents and discoveries, Tesla being one of them, that created free energy a long, long time ago. That idea or that revelation or that manifestation was squelched. Just look at the fruits that the tree grows and you will tell which side you want to be on. That's all you have to do. Look at the fruits of those in charge of things like saying they want to control the planet and Mother Earth and how they go about it. I'm going to give you another, this is going on, isn't it? But I think this is a needed, when I go to a place like that, I get super downloads. What's going on right now on the planet in association with this emergence is depopulation, all right? Depopulation. Now, you might look at some of the wars that are going on right now in, let's say, Gaza, or let's say in the Ukraine area. You will look at these wars and you will think of them as feuds over boundaries and feuds over resources and power and oil and wanting to possess and all this and all that. You might look at it that way. That's not what's happening here. It's a subtle form of depopulation. That's the whole agenda. It doesn't have anything to do with Russia's the bad guys, or, in Palestine that Hamas are the bad guys and that there's one race and this race and that race and blah, 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 fighting each other, one religion. It has nothing to do with that. It's pure and simple depopulation. Create a war. You know how many people have died in the latest wars? Let's look at this a minute. I'll tell you right now that over 500,000 people have perished in one war over, in Ukraine and Russia. More than that, maybe 1 million, and 2 million displaced. And then over in the Gaza area, you have an outright display of murder. All right? And we're talking mass murder. And what do they call mass murder? What label or what do they call it when you try to exterminate a certain race of people or depopulate a certain race of people? Well, they call it genocide. Just like what happened to the Native American indigenous people that were on Turtle Island in the beginning. So, this is the last point that I want to make in this video, I think, unless I get another rush here, another download, that this is a depopulation agenda. The wars that you're seeing has nothing to do with, tribal factions, not really. It doesn't have anything. It's all controlled from much higher source. And let's also throw in into the mix before the wars happen or concurrent with the wars happening, there was a so-called, quote, medical emergency worldwide. These are all depopulation agendas. And if you think that that's the last of it, think again. they will come up with, they have something else planned, okay? Panic of the masses through an alien attack, another medical emergency. These are things that are concurrent and happening with, the emergence. It's all about emergence, but fear not. Just detach from all of that unreality and see it for what it is. See it for what it is. Detach from that mindset and return to your star seed. Return to your star seed and take refuge. There is no worry here, or worryless you should be. You just connect, okay? Connect with the right source. Connect with the right source. And that means on YouTube as well. Now let me segue right out of this video before it gets too long, and it already is probably, but I think people will appreciate that. So in segueing, I will just say you can go to my website, spiritofcrazyhorse.com. That has been in existence forever, and that's where my books are. Listen to the Wind, Speak from the Heart. Emergence is the other one. Thunder in the Wind. And other things are on there too, like a donate button and links and all that stuff to Patreon. I'll put links down below. You could join me on Patreon, make a monthly deal, and help support truth. Or you could just make an outright donation as Spirit of Crazy Horse. Hit the donate button. And go for it if you want to. I would appreciate it. It would help me immensely. And it would help support this kind of information that you're going to be... Don't go to these phony disclosure channels and all the, the Stargate and the wars in heaven and all this stuff. It's all to milk you of your brain power and give you false hope while making money at the same time. I mean, lots of money. Webinars and all kinds of stuff. So I don't do that. Not yet. And, don't think I will be. This is my webinar right here. So anyway, I think I'll leave it there today. Also, if you would like a personal consultation with me, that's available as well. And that's also on Spirit of Crazy Horse. So that's an option. Give you a personal download, personal healing. Anyway, I'll leave it there. And until I see you again, adios.